What's up? Happy Monday. For today's vlog, I was going to bring y'all my top 7 tips for better presentations. It's still raining and it's really cold, and I'm not sure if this is nauseating or not, but I may just wait and do it when I get home. I'm also kind of walking my dog who's been slumbering around all day. If it cuts to me being inside, then yeah, you know I chickened out with the rain and the cold. All right, today I want to bring y'all 7 tips for upping your presentation game. Just little things, little tips and tricks you might not think about normally that could make a big difference in maybe reducing anxiety or nervousness or just having a better connection with your audience. But tip number 1 is don't pretend to be something that you're not. So I think a lot of the anxiety and just the general concerns and fear of getting up in front of people is more of a fear of being found out or being challenged and not being able to respond to it. So just be yourself and recognize that your perspective is unique. From my roughly 12 years experience in all this, I constantly see people severely underestimating their expertise in these things. First of all, it's okay to say I don't know. It's okay to say, hey, what a great question. No one has ever asked me that before. Let's research that together. Let's figure that out because I want to know, and clearly you want to know, and maybe there's something behind that. Just recognize yourself as an expert and recognize your individual point of view. It is Texas and it was 85 degrees yesterday and 40 degrees today, but I cannot stay inside anymore. All right, tip number 2 is to connect with friendly faces in the room. There's been a couple of times that I've presented where for some reason, I can remember one in my mind specifically where there was this guy that just like, you know, had just this just had this sour face the whole time. Now he was a friend of mine and I knew him. I'd never presented to him before. And then I talked to him afterwards and he was like, that was a great presentation. But just his like resting demeanor was not friendly. So I just had to constantly, I would go back to him because he was a friend, but I just had to realize, hey, I gotta stop looking at him. I gotta look at a smiling, friendly face in the room. You have to feed off their energy, but like, don't stare them down, right? Don't run them over with your attention. Point number 3 is to be passionate. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a presentation where it is so clear that the presenter could not care less about what's going on. And the audience feels that. And if you're not passionate about what it is that you're presenting, don't present it. It's gonna be hard for this to hold true if you're just presenting revenue numbers on a spreadsheet or something and you don't care about. And if that's the case, then maybe there's an underlying issue there where you're just not passionate about what it is that you're doing, your job at all. So I'd challenge you to think about that a little bit more. Just realize, you know, you only have one life. Make it good, make it something you love doing. But definitely bring the passion. It will set you apart from everybody else if you're presenting in a line in a string of presenters that day to a customer, or if you're on a team, a stable of people that all do the same thing, that all do presentations, and you bring the passion and nobody else does, you will rise above. So, guaranteed. All right, and the 4th one, I may have to get moving. It looks like it's about to rain. The 4th one is kind of like the 3rd one. Be dynamic. So not only be passionate, but be dynamic. Understand your room, understand your audience, understand who you're presenting to, and then feed off of what they're giving you. If you're presenting to some crowd, for example, and you drop a joke and they're all just staring at you like, why'd you say that? First of all, check your jokes, make sure they're even good, or make sure it's not inappropriate, but stop telling jokes. On the flip side of that, if you drop a joke and they feed off of that, keep feeding them. If they eat it up, keep feeding them. It is a very underrated skill to be able to understand and read your audience that way. So many people just like, they craft a presentation and then they just walk through it no matter what. If you go in with some sort of expectation and the customer or whoever it is that you're presenting to takes it a completely different direction, you've got to be able to think on your feet and go that direction with them and recognize it and recognize what's happening in the moment. All right, y'all, I've been sick of being inside all day and I'm sick of this rain, but it's getting too much for the video, so go inside and finish this up. Tip number 5, don't go running down rabbit trails. I used to do this all the time. I used to think I'm adding so much value. I would present a topic, a theme, etc. And then I would run down all these different rabbit trails, or I would hit caveats or little things thinking, okay, I'm just bringing so much value because I'm educating them on all the ins and outs of stuff. But all I was doing was losing my audience. All I was doing was they were running down that train of thought, and then I made them think about something else. I put their brain on a different train track for just half a second, and I derailed the whole conversation. Try to just stay with the main themes, and if somebody's curious about that thing, about that rabbit trail, and somebody asks a specific direct question about it, then answer it, but answer it to suffice the question being asked. don't go running down rabbit trails. You're gonna eat up unnecessary time. You're gonna lose various people within the audience. And just the overall presentation experience isn't going to be as good as it could be. All right, tip number 6, start strong with your audience. Start with a strong engagement, okay? Typically, the way I do this is I ask a few questions. I bring myself closer to the audience as well. If I'm presenting to a group of customers that are kind of sitting around me in a table, I'll walk up directly in front of them just on the other side of the table to make and create that personal connection rather than staying back at the podium or the whiteboard or whatever it might be. I walk around and engage them. I've seen some presenters will actually walk around and introduce themselves. I've never tried that where they shake the individual hand. Now it's going to depend on the size of your audience here. But try to create a personal connection with your audience ahead of time if possible. If not, then right when you begin your presentation, connect with them with some sort of engagement where you ask them questions and get them to the point where they are responding to you, okay? Even if it's something that you already know the answer to, and that's typically what I do. I already know quite a bit about my audience before I go in there, and I will ask them a specific question that I already know the answer to, but I know that they will respond a certain way just to get them like feeling me, you know what I mean? So focus on something basic where you feel like you've got a connection with them and they feel comfortable talking and engaging with you. Very, very important. And don't think I missed the irony that I put the starting strong as bullet point number 6. These are in no particular order. So just take them and assess what it is that you currently do and see if you can benefit from some of these, and I think you will. All right, and tip number 7, and this is probably one of the most important ones. Try to tell a story, create some sort of connection with your audience, and you'll hear this a number of different ways as far as like taking a complex concept and explaining it simply. That's a good way to show that you understand it, but it's also a great way to help somebody who has no idea what you're talking about, that you're walking through for the very first time. And maybe this sounds super simple and very basic, but it is a very powerful tool that I don't think too many people actually take advantage of. Relate what it is that you're trying to present with something that you know that your audience deals with day in and day out, that can make an easy, quick connection. And then ultimately what you're trying to do there, not just to like make a metaphor, but to help them understand in that metaphor how it's going to make a difference in their life. Take it to that experience, okay? That wraps up my top 7 tips. Let me just rewind that back to you real quick. Number 1, don't pretend to be something you're not. Number 2, connect with friendly faces in the room. Feed off of their energy and give it right back to them. Number 3, show your passion. Passion is engaging, it's contagious, it works. It will increase the success of your presentations significantly. Number 4, think on your toes. Be dynamic in front of that audience. Listen, focus, pay attention. Don't just run straight down your track of what it is that you wanted to say. Listen and think about what they want to hear. And number 5, don't run down rabbit trails just because it feels good to you and because you're trying to show off all these little things that you know about it, right? It's irrelevant to the presentation, I promise. Number 6, start strong engaging your audience. And number 7, tell a story. Help it be relatable. All right, that's what I got. That's my advice. Let me know in the comments if you have any advice on presentation skills, on tips to up your presentation experience and to add more value and to be more fun, how to not be nervous, how to just execute the way you want to execute. Let me know because always open, want to learn. All right, see ya.